Today we're going to be looking at contracts and why, if you are a photographer working with clients, you should always have one. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is about a subject that's not very sexy really. It's about contracts, but I want to cover this off because if you are someone that's working with photography clients and you're not working with a contract, then it's something that you really need to consider. So we're going to talk about what a contract is, what it contains, and how to use one as well. So let's start off with what it is. A contract essentially is just an agreement between you and the client that specifies a number of things. So things like what you are going to charge for the job, what it is that they're going to get, when they're going to get it, that sort of thing. So all of the verbal conversations that you have with your client, what you do is all of those agreements, you put it into a piece of paper, and then both parties sign it so that everyone is clear on what's going to be happening, what's going to be delivered, when it's going to be delivered, how much it's going to cost, and so there is no misunderstanding. If you do not have a contract, and you know, it's happened to all of us, it's happened to me, where there are misunderstandings that the client then maybe expects that you are also going to give, say, for example, the raw files as part of the shoot, that you are going to deliver a large number of images than you said that you were going to. So all of those things can lead to misunderstandings that can also then lead on to disappointment. And that's probably the one thing that I don't want to do as a photographer. Is I don't want to disappoint my clients. I want that repeat business from them. And so there is a level of professionalism when you issue them a contract and then they read through it and then they can make any changes that they need to, and then you come to an agreement, you both sign it, and then you can go off and do the job, and everyone is clear on what is happening and what's going to be delivered. So what goes into a contract? Let's go through one by one all the sections that I have in my contract. The first thing that I make sure to have in a contract are roles and their contact details. And by contact details, I mean a name, a phone number, a physical address, and an email address. So that way, if I need to email them something, I have it. If I need to physically send something to them as well, or go to their premises, then I've also got those details. I've got the address as well. And also, if there are any other parties like the accounts department, then I will also include that in the contract as well, just to make sure that we have a contact point in case of any issues that arise. The same thing goes for my side of things. I will make sure to have my contact details in there as well, so that I provide that to them in case they need to reach me as well. The second thing is scope of work, and you want to make sure that you really pay attention to this one, because this is where most of the confusion happens when you don't have a contract. So you want to spell it out really, really clearly in here. This is going to specify things such as the length of the shoot, the number of images that you are going to be providing, the fact that you probably will not be giving them the raw files. All those sorts of things go into this part of the contract. This is essentially the deliverable and of what you are going to provide to the client. It needs to be specified really, really clear. Don't think that you can go into too much detail in here. The more detailed, usually the better it is. Like I said, this is where most of the misunderstandings happen. People that are not familiar with photographers will not know, for example, that the copyright is retained with the photographer. They will not know that the raw files are not provided by default. They think that every single image that you capture, you know, be it 1, 2, 5,000 images, are all going to be edited. So you need to specify these things in that scope of work to make sure that there are no misunderstandings. The next thing that you want to put in there is your timeline. So this essentially is when you are going to be delivering the images to your client. And don't assume anything here, because some of these clients have never worked with photographers before. So they might be under the impression that they're going to receive their images the day after the shoot, which is typically not how it happens. If you are going to be fast tracking their images, then this is the part of the contract where that needs to be specified. And you need to be really careful about what you put in that section, because you are going to be held accountable to that. You have to make sure that you meet that deadline, otherwise you are going to be in breach of contract. Okay, so next we've got payment terms, and this is really important because you want to get paid, of course. So in here you will have things such as, is a deposit required, yes or no, how long they have to pay the bill, where they're going to pay, like bank accounts, that sort of thing. So for example, on my jobs, I have a 50% deposit that I ask for before I do any of the jobs. I also have a 30-day terms which means that they've got 30 days to pay after I finish the job. And then it's also got all of my bank accounts and details and all that other stuff so that they can actually make the payment. Okay, so next we've got cancellation policy. Now this is going to be up to you on what you decide to do here, but this will define what happens if they cancel the job. So if they cancel the day before, for example, and you've already had some expenses because you've been buying props, that sort of thing, so you need to make sure that you've got something in there to protect you. So for example, if there is a 50% deposit that they've paid up front, then maybe if they cancel 24 hours before the shoot, then they're not able to get that 50% back, or maybe you give them back half of that deposit or whatever it is. This is something that you need to work out for yourself. Again, I'll give you the one that I've used for myself, and then you can tweak it, or you can use something very similar to that if you want to craft your one after what I'm doing. Okay, so the next one is one that is often misunderstood, which is why I've left this till last, and that is usage rights. And you want to make sure that you get this right, otherwise you can leave a lot of money on the table. Essentially what usage rights means is the mechanism by which you let your clients use your images, and that's all you're doing. You're allowing your client to use the images. You're not selling them the images that they can keep forever. And this typically applies to larger clients, okay, because the larger clients are going to be using your images to generate revenue, usually in the form of advertising. And so in those scenarios, you write down exactly what the images or how the images are going to be used, and then for what period of time they're going to be used. So for example, web usage, 6 months. That means that for the next 6 months, they can use that on the web, like their website, but they can't print any billboards or any posters or anything like that to hang in a shop, for example. That would require print usage rights as well, which you need to be compensated for. And this is often something that when you have a successful campaign, it can actually be extended beyond the terms of what you specified in your contract. So if you've got 6 months, they may want to run it for another 6 months. And in that case, this is where you get in touch with the client, or the client gets in touch with you, and you renegotiate the usage for another 6 months, which is great for you because it means that you don't have to generate any new images, but you still get some royalty for that as well. And you get paid quite appropriately as well. So this is something that you want to get right. Now, this is not something that you do for the smaller clients. Smaller clients will have no idea about usage rights, and they will think that you're trying to rip them off, because that's what it sounds like to someone that has not been exposed to this industry before. But if you deal with any of the bigger clients, then they're going to be aware of this. So you want to make sure that the usage rights are clearly spelled out in this section of the contract, and to make sure that the client also agrees to that. Okay, that's it. That's essentially a framework of what you want to have in your contract. Obviously, depending on the client and the situation, you may add or take away some things from there, but it'll give you an idea of how you can get your contract up and running and get a framework for what it is that you need. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm going to give you a generic one that I used in order to create my one that I've been using for years now, and it's worked quite well. I'll put it into a link in the description of this video, so you can just get it from there. And if you have any questions about anything that I covered here today, just let me know by leaving a comment in the comment section of the video, and I'll try and answer any questions that you may have. If you enjoyed this video, you found it useful, and you would like to support me, you can do so by clicking the like button. Honestly, it makes a huge difference to me and to the channel, so I would appreciate it if you did that. And if you want to see more content from me, just click the subscribe button and click the notification bell, and that way YouTube will let you know when I upload my next video. But that's everything for today. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.